In this video, I'll show you how I stitch a free motion quilting feather filler. So when I do a feather filler, I like to start with one long feather plume. So no spine, just a nice long plume. And then I use the side of the long plume to be my spine for these other plumes. And again, I'm not going to backtrack on those individual little bits there. It just spreads out the density a little bit and also makes it a little quicker because then I don't have to backtrack. Pretty much need to slow down if you're going to do some backtracking so that it looks like you're actually, on track. Now, I could go all the way around and turn it almost into a feathered paisley, or I could come over here and do another long feather. I can even bring that over there. There we go. Stitches are a little long. I just sped up the machine a little bit with my foot. Now it's looking better. You want to make sure that you're not whipping your hands through that curve there at the end. If you do, that's a good way to get eyelashes on your quilt and not, the kind that you want on your eyes. Carry on in the way we began, but instead of curling it, I'm kind of keeping it right parallel to those first ones. So now I can take those smaller feather plumes and put them right into here and fill in that space. I like to try to fill things in as I go and not have like a big hole where there's no quilting and have to come back to it. Another long plume, and I'm going to fill on this side. If I want to swap sides, I can do that at the base of that first long plume and come up a different side, because most of the time those longer plumes are not particularly too curvy. We are using the 9450 Janome, very similar to the 9400. So right down here at the base of this long plume, I could switch sides if I felt the need to come over on this side. But I'm going to keep it on this side for now. Now, you could totally do this in a really teeny tiny way, or any way in between, whatever floats your boat artistically, because this is art. Some people may say quilting is a craft, but I think it's art. Maybe it's not high art, but it is creative and it's fun, or it should be fun, and I like doing it. It's like drawing, only I'm moving my paper instead of my pen. So the M7 would do this as well. It would have that foot as well. Let's see, the Skyline S7, S9, the 12,000, the 14,000, the M7, the beautiful M17, all could use this foot. I think that's all of them. So I think I'm going to slowly start making these a little bit smaller, and we'll kind of gravitate off into just a smaller scale. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around this one. I mentioned that earlier. Might as well do it so you can see it. You see that? All right, I'm going to come out of here, and I'm going to come around this way That's another way where I can change direction. I mean, normally you would come around and go this way, but I want to fill over here. So I did it the opposite direction. It can be very hard to change directions like that on your plumes without some practice. So practice is wonderful. It helps us make progress. You can practice by quilting. You can practice by doodling. All kinds of things that you can do to practice. Heck, you can even just rub your finger on the table and kind of go through the motions. That helps you kind of practice figuring out where to go next with your stitch. It also gives you practice to get out of quilting yourself into a corner, and it also brings in your muscle memory, so your hands get used to a motion. I forgot, we're trying to make these smaller. And of course, sometimes you have to change up your size of everything so that you can fill spaces. Again, you want to be able to fill them without having to go back. So those big feather plumes that I'm using as spines basically are in a line with each other here. And so these plumes almost look like they're continuous. All right, so we already talked about my machine is the 9450 from Janome. I mean, all the machines I'm going to show you are going to be from Janome because I'm a Janome dealer. And I am using glide thread. This fabric is a Bella Solid from Moda. I don't remember what I have for batting. It came out of a bag that we keep for quilt projects here in the shop. It's probably a Quilter's Dream 80-20, which is 80% cotton, 20% polyester, or vice versa. It gives the batting a little bit more poof. I like my quilts to have some nice poof to them. All right, I'm going to throw in a teeny tiny one up here when I get to the end of this plume, but I think I'm just going to do one because I can already kind of feel my neck and shoulders getting a little tense, and the smaller you do something, the harder it is to stay loose and do it. So there's my long spine. It's not long at all. Here's my little feathers. I like to go a little faster on this. If you get too slow when you're free motioning, it can, I don't know, it's jerkier. More jerky? Jerkier? I don't know the phrase. But it's like you almost need to go a certain speed in order for things to smooth out. If you go too slow, it's like riding a bike. You start riding a bike and you're going super, super slow and you're new to riding a bike. You know, it may wiggle and wobble and then you're crashing into a parked car. When you're doing bigger motions, it feels easier. It flows a little bit better. So I'm going to flip this around. You don't want to get too dependent on having to move your quilt around, because if you're doing a big quilt, it's a lot harder than this little sample. But, you know, for little things, it's fine. I've forgotten what I've done. There I am. I love that you can really see through this foot well. So I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I may or may not like it. Just adding a little loop in my feather. Move that out of the way. I'm reaching on out so I can fill up this spot. That's something that's nice about some of the bigger Janome machines. They've been kind of pared down here in the front so that you can see more right around the needle. You know, with a lot of bigger machines, it's really bulky here and you can't see anything behind the needle at all. So this works. And Miss Caroline is saying, I make it look so easy. Remember, that's because I've done a whole lot of work. Practice, practice, practice. Being a little stubborn helps. Drawing and doodling helps a lot. I'm going to come over here and just fill that in. And I'm going to come out between these two. All right, we have gone for quite a little bit. If you've got any questions for me, go ahead and put them in the chat. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. Share it to your favorite quilting friends. That just helps me get the word out so I can teach more people how to use their machines. And if you got a new machine, maybe for Christmas, and you could use a little more help learning all the ins and outs of your higher end Janome, I do have a Clubhouse program that is full of videos on Janome machines from the Skyline S6 all the way up to the M7. And you can find that at, well, you can find a link to it at my online store, which is amyquilts.com. And there's a link there to my Clubhouse. That's the easiest way to get to it. You know, did you notice that thumping it was just doing? I kind of have the feeling that my sew slip may have moved. I hope I'm not stitching into my sew slip mat. I am going to backtrack right here on top of this plume to come out right here. A little off, not too bad. But I'm so glad you guys came to watch, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of plumes right here and call it a night. There is the quilting that I did with you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.